Greetings. Welcome once again. This is our first roundtable of day 4, our final chapter, and our title for the panel is The Work Ahead Facing What's Emerging Together. With me, I have impeccable, beautiful ladies who are going to help us demystify what's ahead and how we are going to face this together. And panelists, I ask you that you mute until called upon. That is when you will unmute. And this is where I bring you for introductions. You tell us who you are and what inspired you to join us here. And we will be very brief. I believe we have a lot to cover. And I will begin with you, Andrea, since you're close to me, and we'll pass it all over. Andrea, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Always a pleasure to be here in GatherVerse, especially at the She Summit. I remember 3 years ago, this was my first public speaking event, and I was so nervous, and so much has happened since then. I'm Andrea Camargo. I'm the founder of Refi Collective. We're based in Bogota, Colombia. I studied veterinary medicine for my love to animals and the natural world. And then I did a master's degree in international business. So I'm kind of connecting two different worlds, the natural systems and the business world. And my work right now is basically kind of shift the narrative that we have in the different industries, specifically in the financial industry and in the investment ecosystem. So we can start creating more opportunities for ventures that have embedded the impact in terms of social and environmental aspects, and to really connect these ventures with capital that makes a difference in our world. Super happy to be here. Thank you.
Andrea, we're always delighted to have you here. And yes, this is your third annual GatherVerse Summit. And look at where you are right now. And congratulations with your projects. Thank you so much for joining us. Susan, over to you.
Hi, thanks, Lynn. My name is Suzanne Bloom, and I am probably a different person to be speaking here on GatherVerse. It is my first time, so kudos to you, Andrea, on time number 3. I am a manifestation coach, and my greatest desire is to help people recognize that when they lead from who they would love to be, that type of person, that type of leader, that type of, you name it, in our communities, in our cities, in our world, that then they're creating the world that they would love to be in. So that is my work. That is what I'm driven to do, to help people recognize who they are, basing that on the vision of who they'd love to be and their values, and to remember that they are worthy of the world that they would love to have, as is everyone else on this planet. So that is my call, and it's just a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Susan, you're in the right place, and we definitely want to hear more of your amazing work. Sally, please, over to you. Please, your mic, kindly unmute. Right. There's a mic at the bottom.
I got it.
Yes.
I'm a StreamYard gal. Okay, I'm so happy to be here, Lynn. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. So nice to meet Andrea and Suzanne, and you are in the right place at the right time. I am a clinical psychologist, but I started out in marketing and sales. I'm a geek. I love all things technology, and I love all things AI. And I am incorporating AI with my people. I'm a faith-based counselor. We faith-based people have to embrace AI because there has to be ethics and humanity related in its development. Right now, my current project is being a big idea Sherpa. I help people who have a divine calling take it up to Everest in small platforms. And I'm thrilled to be here because we're in the right intersection at the right time.
Yes, I believe we are. And Sally, we're looking forward to learn more of your insights, faith-based, and the intersection of technology. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Jane, over to you.
Hi, again, such an honor to be part of this panel. I love the energy for GatherVerse, but particularly this Shiro. My background, I actually have a PhD in microbiology immunology. I was a professor at medical schools for 15 years, and just the way of old learning sucks. Sorry. I'm neurodivergent. I have learning disabilities. I saw students suffer, and especially going from kids love science whenever they're in lower grades, and then they get into the higher grades, and it's just stress. And so during the pandemic, I invented a new way to learn, wrote a book. And so my husband and I got awarded the National Science Foundation, SBIR, to create our app. And so it is XR. I'm an XR evangelist. And we initially were making it for medical students and realized the population who needs the most intervention for good AI practice and AR. So AR, augmented reality, extended reality for spatial learning, spatial hands, you have to have touch. So Men Micromaps is our company, and we have the game coming out called Microbe, and it's for the high school. So I'm on a mission. I am now doing AI XR education consulting to get the high schools and say these kids need better tools and they need guidance on how they move forward in this new workplace. So thanks for having me.
Wow, Dr. Jane, that is wonderful and inspiring. I look forward to learn more of your works and congratulations on the project you're also doing. Yes, over to you, Anur, if I pronounced it right. If I didn't, please correct me.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lynn. Actually, it's a bit mixture. I'm just thinking about what should I say about my background. Actually, I can start with that. I'm both a lawyer and engineer. I started my career in PwC, then KPMG. Then I was a vice president at Microsoft. My specialties is cybersecurity, data protection, and AI governance right now. So right now I am shareholder and the non-exec director at 6 different companies. Both of them is based on AI and cybersecurity and automation again. So actually it's great because I'm joining from Dublin, total different area most probably. So really happy to meet with you, all of you.
Anur, we're very happy to meet you as well. You are in the right place, and we look forward to learning more from you. Now, panelists, I want us to dive into the conversations of the day. I believe we have so much to cover. I will ask you all to be very brief with your remarks, and you can chime in anytime you want to. And I will begin with you, Andrea, of course. So, what does the work ahead ask of humanity across generations? And anyone can chime in as well. Andrea.
I would say that in my work, we kind of connect different generations because the wealth transfer is going to be huge these next decades, right? And when we talk with different investors, philanthropists, like how do you see the world and what do you want your capital to support on these next years? They always talk about this legacy. I want my values and my principles to be passed on through generations, right? And sometimes we, in this investment world, I move in. Sometimes we give so much value to money, but when we think about it, money has no value. It's just a means of exchange, and it's a interesting story that we all believe in, and it makes the different economies work all together. But I think one of the work ahead is for us to reimagine the value of money. Like, why are we giving so much value to these digital assets, which money 99% is not even physical,
Yeah.
and it's created out of thin air by different central banks.
Yeah.
But what about the other types of capitals, right? The natural capital, the cultural, spiritual,
Yes.
social, artistic. I mean, there are so many types of capitals that we don't tap into them. And it's making our planet sick. It's making us reach these planetary boundaries and community boundaries as well, in some ways that it's even dangerous for the whole system. So if we don't want to go into that collapse of the system, we need to reimagine how we define value and how we exchange value between us. And I think that is the one of the most challenging works we have ahead. But I'm very optimistic.
Andrea, that was well. You kicked us off absolutely powerfully, and that is right. How we define value, right? You mentioned about legacy. You mentioned about currencies. Why do we put so much value into currencies that are produced from thin air? Why don't we put value into our planet where we live? And most generations are going to come and live. But Dr. Jane, I think this is where I bring you because you've mentioned about your work across very different generations.
Yeah.
Tell us your thoughts, and anyone can chime in as well after her. Dr. Jane.
Thank you. I was jumping at the excitement of this. What our the young adults is my population, but our kids as well. What happened to them as a generation for the COVID pandemic? And what is happening right now with the shift of AI, it is so incredibly huge that in my opinion, again, their voices, their needs really need to be brought to the table. It's really whenever I was growing up and in school, my teachers, my parents, they say, okay, this is how you do it. This is the steps, and this is how you can succeed. And that was the paradigm for a good 100 years. But now with the kids, like what we did does not work anymore. And so even parents are like, we're scrambling with this whole AI. I have a 16-year-old. I have grandkids. And so not with my 16-year-old, sorry. But something that was an amazing experience for me with my journey of shifting from being an academic, a professor, to being an entrepreneur and to being an XR developer is listening. And so that is actually what I think is going to be so incredibly important for making the world better is we need to listen to the youth and say, what do you need? We went into customer discovery and interviewed. So we interviewed 125 people across 12 campuses. And it was the first time in my life that I actually asked the students, how do you study? So we asked 50 students about how do you study, and their answers were mind-blowing for me. And so for how do we work ahead humanity across generations, I really believe that it is time for the adults in the room to start listening to that younger generation and say, how can we be there for you in this moment with the tools that are available that works best for you? So that's my major advocacy, is listening.
Yes, Dr. Jane, listening. I totally believe that is absolute. And I agree with that because last year we had a summit called Youth Summit. And one of the things that stood out for many youths saying that we want to be listened. And absolutely, you put that very well. Susan, I saw you wanted to say something. Please bring it on.
Absolutely. And I am loving what I'm hearing from Andrea, from Dr. Jane, and there is so much to talk about in what is needed in these future generations. But for me, from my work, the angle that I come from is that we need to stop reacting and start remembering. And we are reacting to so many changes around us, but across generations, we're being asked to remember our creative capacity, right? Just like Dr. Jane was talking about, everything that's our creative capacity. She's right in there, right? You can see it just thrumming off of her. And we're asked to be the authors of change. And that really means developing an inner stability, right? That while that outer world is moving quickly, it seems like chaos and it's all changing, the real work isn't just skill building or finishing school, but it's identity building. Who are we called to be as a race, as a human, as a community member? And who are we being as we create what's next? So when you talk about listening, when you talk about money, Andrea, those things are part of who are we being? How are we having our values addressed? How are we showing up on this planet? And I just think that real grounded Who are we? Let's remember that and let's move forward from there.
Yes, Susan, you actually just topped up what Andrea and Dr. Jane said, and I want to shift gears with that in mind. But identity, certainly, I'm coming to you as well as Honor. What responsibility fall more heavily on women as new technologies and new structures become more integrated into daily life?
Okay,
Dr.
Lynn,
Sai.
actually, we heard
Yes.
great. Oh, sorry. This is for
Yeah,
me.
Dali. Yeah,
Sally?
kindly.
Okay,
And then you.
sorry.
I'm coming to you next.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, ditto to everyone, but also too, women have a particular place in this landscape because we have been acculturated to be servers and not leaders, and so now it's time for women really to step up and speak our minds. And as I would also talk with with Suzanne, systems regulation, internal regulation is tantamount to be able to manifest anything in your world. It's if you cannot be sacred if you're scared. And so that is a major tenet to be able for women to be able to be centered, be aligned, and really be connected with their source as they know it. We bring so much richness to this world of humanity, and it's time for us to be bold, to not be afraid, to step into the spotlight and speak our own truths, just as Dr. Jane is. And I applaud all of you being here today because that is what's going to change the trajectory of our future. We are at such an incredible crossroads. It is bigger than when the internet came. It is bigger when we found fire. What's going to happen in the next 6 months, a year from now, is going to be the most amazing things. And I am now vibe coding, and which Onar will like laugh at me. I've gotten into this, but I have so many women around me who are scared and afraid. And being an early adopter, I said, "Come along, we've got to get on the train. Tsunami's coming. Get in the boat or drown." So, women, let's gather together and make humanity and AI be so much better for the future.
Sadly, that was beautifully brought out. And you know what stood out for me is when you said what we're discovering is bigger than fire. You left me in a very reflective space, looking at AI bigger than fire, and of course, encouraging as many women to come into this space. I'm very proud of you that you are vibe coding. This is a lesson learned for so many people who are watching out there. Honor, I'm coming to you. Tell us your thoughts. What do you think? Are you vibe coding as well?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lynn. Yeah, actually, I'm trying. After I heard great different answers, I just try to shaping up my answer because I am an University of Cambridge alumni, and I got my 3 different degree in different universities, and generally in that kind of schools they are preparing us to be a perfect role model. So as a business leader, I generally working with really different generation, so it is so obvious that I'm lecturing at different universities too, and different age groups. If I compare with 5 years, 10 years ago, it's totally different right now because the generation gaps really jumping in a few years. Because in the past, we generally talking about the generation gaps. It was 20 years, 30 years between them. But then today, sometimes 2 years, 5 years can be a generation gap between people. So I think last week, or maybe say this week too, World Economic Forum annual meeting 2026 from Davos is a perfect example because we heard really new things from them. And it's so obvious that technology will be in the middle of our future. And it's obvious AI, cybersecurity, and other emerging techs will shape our future. So it is inevitable to being a part of it. So I think I totally agree with all our speakers. Listening people understand their approach and their priorities is important because the biggest difference right now when we are talking about from legal perspective, from technological perspective, from money and economic perspective, it doesn't matter. We are living in different geographies of the world. So if you're looking at the world from US, you're seeing total different angle, total different picture. If you are looking at the world from you or from Africa, from Asia, you're seeing total different kind of picture. So Elon Musk just mentioned that the robots population will be increased and most probably they will be crowded than human beings. So oh my God, this is really very dangerous sentence to us because it means that just think about that. Dr. Sally just mentioned about internet. You know what? Internet is really so old and the fat guy right now. But the thing is, lots of countries around the world still lack of internet problems. But we are in the Europe, in the US, talking about robots and automation and AI. And as a non-exec director in different AI companies, we are just trying to create feature together, but it's just making this get bigger and bigger. When you are connecting with young people in universities or in Microsoft, PwC, KPMG, that kind of multinational companies, their observation, their angles totally different. So I think the main thing right now, we generally talking about ethics, governance, and that kind of very technical, fancy wording. But everything is adaptation. I think the magical word is adaptation. Adapt it. You cannot resist it. And as a lawyer, maybe I can say that we are creating lots of new legislations and trying to force people and the technology to putting in line. But it's so obvious that AI doesn't create for governance. We just try to change.
I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you on that part of governance. That is where I'll come to you because we're heading right there, and I feel we have so much to discover there. But first, let me just shift a little bit gear, and I'm coming to you, Andrea. Andrea, Refi Collective, and when I see this question, I definitely see it calling you. What is the power of collective progress that individual excellence cannot deliver alone?
I always look for examples in nature to kind of showcase the power of the collective. And for instance, if we look at a forest, we see different kind of individuals, species, collaborating in a synchronized way for the forest to be able to regenerate and create more abundance, right? But if we just take one tree and we look at the, let's say, the role of this individual tree, and we disconnect it from the forest, the tree cannot do anything on its own because it needs the CO2 from other animals to be able to capture it through the leaves and create this photosynthesis using the sun and use the different minerals and nutrients from the soil that are made through microbes and different mycelium networks in the ground. So it's kind of seeing ourselves separate from each other, like seeing this tree isolated from the forest, you know? And the power is in the collective. The power is when we all connect, and we are interconnected already, but sometimes we feel isolated and we feel alone for the fear you just mentioned, Sally. And I think this whole narrative, political, economical narrative that we have been that we are receiving all the time from the news makes us feel alone, makes us feel disconnected and with fear. And I think one of the most important things we can do as a community is to heal. We don't heal on ourselves, like alone. We heal through the community. We heal sharing our experiences, even if they are difficult sometimes. If we share it with our family, with our friends, with these type of panels, I think it's a really powerful way to give our truth and to express our real potential that we have. So
Right.
yeah.
Andrea, and that's why we're having such a GatherVerse like this one, where we can share. And if that's the best way for healing, then we're comfortable holding a gather each and every day. All right, Susan, I see you agreeing to what Andrea was saying, and I want to bring you in. What do you have to say?
You know, Andrea I love that picture, that analogy of the forest, Andrea. Like, that was absolutely beautiful. You had me. And you're right, that individual power, individual excellence. I mean, humans outside of the forest, we can do some things on our own. But it takes all of our personal energy to maintain it, all of our personal energy. Whereas collective progress, that really creates that momentum, that sustains the results, even when one of us is weakened somehow. So for me, that meaning that, when women come together, when communities come together, but we're here on GatherVerse, right? So when women come together, fear softens. Our ideas, they multiply. And courage actually becomes contagious. That synergy is amazing. So collective spaces really can normalize our expansion. And that's something no solo brilliance can really do, is normalize that expansion and allow it and create that energy that allows it to grow beyond what we ever dreamt of. So for me, I think that's really what I wanted to talk about collective progress. Yeah. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you for really emphasizing that. That reminds me, one of our philosophy here in Africa, it's called Ubuntu. I am because you are. It's about collective power. And let me just shift to the next question, and I'm bringing you, Dr. Jane and Sally. What leadership habits help organizations stay adaptable without losing direction? I'll start with Dr. Jane and then over to you, Sally.
Yeah, it's transitioned from that last question and it really tell my personal experience. So I was in academia and I am an innovator. I'm very much creative and I love technology. And in that environment, it was awful. I was so alone. I was bullied. It was just not, whenever you're shaking the status quo, when we can get into colonialism and patriarchy, and it was eating me alive. I mean, I was a shell of a person. And this transition that I've had in this last 2 years, I found XR Women. So if you are at all interested in the model. And so the leadership habits for that organization, one, showing up, the consistency. They have meetings every Wednesday. I actually have another group that I've learned that I've connected with, and it's that consistency. So that is something that is the modeling that I learned. But with that collective, it was opening my eyes, my brain, my heart to this whole world that I didn't know existed. And it's from that organization I've met so many people, and I kind of think of it as ripples. And so the leadership habits is showing up. That is actually, I would say, the biggest challenge of us even being here, volunteering, applying for stuff, and then to have being vulnerable in those spaces. In that, I thought, I was like, oh, you have to be this perfect thing and stuff. But what I'm finding is just being honest. And so showing up and being authentic, that has been so incredibly powerful for me, for my own self-growth, for my happiness, for my everyday.
Yes.
But it's also in that I'm able to make really awesome, genuine connections, and it becomes, leadership is easy. It's like once you show up, you're authentic, and you got that vulnerability, and setting that stage. And now I'm transferring that over to the high school population and saying, it's okay to be you. It's okay to be you and have fun.
Beautiful, beautiful. And shout out to XR Women. Actually, they are our partners. They really rocked. Thank you so much for highlighting that. Sally, please let us know what you think.
Yes, I really admire and appreciate Dr. Jane's enthusiasm. I am thinking that collectively, yes, I love what Suzanne said, and we have to acknowledge that at this moment in time, we are suffering under what I call a trust deficit. We have people who do not trust what they see, what they hear, what people express. Is it real? Is it not real? How are we going to further define that? And in terms of leadership, and I'm talking tops down, I'm talking from CEOs on down, soft skills are now the way to create a better place. And we've been talking about soft skills as women for a long time, and listening being number one, but being able to infuse the sense of kindness, respect, and caring towards your fellow person, whether it's a team member or whether it's your C suite, that those small little things that you know about someone, like when your kid has a birthday or when they learn they were going to join the soccer team, these are small milestones that make a big difference in the interaction among humans. And so those kinds of things are going to be even more in demand as we try to push towards what is authenticity now, what is trust, and how can we join together in this new landscape that we're going to be navigating.
Stanley, you are very kind with your linings, and I appreciate that. Honor, I'm coming to you. How can listening become a strategic advantage during periods of fast-paced change? I remember Dr. Jane and Sally have mentioned something to do with listening, but from our organizational point of view, what is your thought?
Yeah, Lynn, when we talk about listening as a strategic advantage during periods of fast-paced change, it really starts with one simple truth. Everything begins with people, and it continues that way. It's still human in the loop model we are working in. And AI agents or automation aren't yet human. Even in complex systems, platforms, or applications only gain value when they communicate and integrate effectively. So we can say that today we are talking about technologies, today we are talking about automation, whatever it is, everything is coming from human beings. I mean, that we created all this data in the markets, in the whole human history, we can say. But today we are just blaming about all that kind of, bias problems and diversity problems to AI tools, AI platforms or applications. But after all, we created all these labels because of human beings, religions, skin color, or origins, whatever. Just think about that. All different kind of minority groups. So it's not just about women. There are lots of minority groups because of their approach in this life. So that is why listening and understand different kind of groups is important. When I'm trying to finish my first answer, I just want to say one important thing. So I think this is a great moment to, make an extension that we are talking about data democratization right now, and they're always highlighting it is very important. So the thing is, data democratization means that if you want to create a fair automation, a fair AI, a fair technology, you need to understand all different kind of data who created around the world, not just a small group, not just the priority groups. So cannot listen all that kind of data. It means that you are not creating a fair technology. It's not a new super intelligence. It's just a tyranny. So this is important to understand that if you want to create anything in this world, you have to democratize it. And today, I think the biggest problem around the world is democratization, because we are thinking that lots of people right now who got the power, democracy is sale, freedom is sale, and countries are sale. So this is not. We are just creating all these new rules and new world rules, we can say, a new era together as a human beings. So listening more important, maybe we can say a soft skill, but it is a strategic tool right now around the world.
Yes, definitely, Honor. That is very important when you mention about democratization of data, right? And one of the things that comes to my mind, and we're going to talk about this in the coming Women's Health Summit, is one of the data that are lacking is data for women's health. You can't feed women's health data with majority which are not from women, right? If I'm making sense. So I really find that very important, and you brought it out on time. And thank you so much for sharing that. Andrea, I'm coming back to you. What kind of leadership becomes necessary when facing what is emerging together?
I think there are many different types of leaderships depending on the situation, depending on the people around you. But I think the most important part is that authenticity and being able to connect with what you feel, I don't think I'm, the most brilliant leader in all spaces, but there is one space that I really, really like to lead, which is my yoga sessions. I have a yoga community, and we meet every Sunday, and it's not like um, space where people just arrive and they pay for the class. I have this reciprocity culture where you come, you share your energy with the community, and I share my leadership as well. We can also share some food and some snacks in the experience, but it's mostly surrounding. You come, you share what you feel, and I love to guide and lead these experiences because it connects with the most authentic part of ourselves. It's
Yes.
being in the present moment. I think it's really important while you lead, even if it's a yoga community, even if it's a huge business or a country or a nation or whatever. Whenever you connect your words with what you're feeling inside, I
Yeah.
think you will always connect with people, and people also feel that. And I practice this leadership through yoga, and that has led me to apply it through my startup here in Colombia and through the collective we have in Latin America.
Wow, Andrea. And I am seeing our founder, Christopher Lafayette, and thank you so much for this opportunity. He's saying a huge yoga community, super inspiring. I think you can put him as part of your membership, right? Consider him. And Susan, do you have something to chiming on? Anyone has something to add on this?
Absolutely. I would love to chime in. And for me, I mean, when we think about the leaders that we admire in the past, what is it that we're admiring? Leadership really is necessary as we're emerging through this new world, all this technology, all this AI. But what do we still need? We need that embodied leadership. We're looking for, not loud leaders, not performative. I have to look a certain way, but this leadership that's rooted in self-awareness and in trust. People who love to follow leaders who know who they are. And we're not talking about the leaders we're afraid of. We're talking about the leadership that we need, right? We want to follow leaders who know who they are, meaning that they're regulated, they're clear, they're grounded. And especially when the path ahead isn't fully visible, so think JFK, Oprah, right? Obama, not like Elon Musk or Putin, where it's like a lot of progress is sometimes made, but the following is difficult because there's that lack of regulation, there's that performance going on. So that's my perspective.
I hear you, Susan. I hear you. On the part of regulation, I'm taking that with me. Sally, please chime in. I see you very eager to share your thoughts.
Well, when we talk about self-regulation, and I bring in yoga as well, because that's one of my loves as well. Somatic regulation, using our own bodies to regulate our parasympathetic nervous system. And I actually teach people how to activate their vagus nerve. When we look at ourselves as biological entities, very much like a tree, that we are going to take them And that energy that we have is so connected, and it is non-local. It extends way out into the world. That our energy, our thoughts as energy, can permeate veils of ignorance and disbelief just by being in a space and having a dedication to your own truth. So we are tasked with having that energy be as clear and as pure and as close to source as we can possibly make it. We ultimately fail because we're just little critters down here, but we keep trying. And I welcome everyone to join in to that theme. And I certainly appreciate everything that everyone said here today. And even though you're in Colombia and I'm in South Texas and you're in Nairobi and you're in Dublin, we're all here and we all feel each other's energy, which is part of why we're here.
Yes, I am with you. Sadly, I definitely feel the energy. Thank you. Thank you so much for also highlighting that. I want us to shift to the next question, and I'm gonna address this to you, to Dr. Jen and Onur as well. How can care operate as a leadership discipline rather than a personal trait? Dr. Jen, I'm curious.
Yeah, and I love the questions because this is actually very much what I was just reflecting on previously. So one of my specialties is using tech for accessibility for neurodivergent learners. And something with neurodivergent learners is when they're told what to do, it is like it's engaging the sympathetic, and it's like just rejection, and I don't like this, even though you want to do what you're being told to do. And so this big transfer of really, again, meeting my users, meeting the learners, meeting the students, the teams, is autonomy. And so caring, and again, this gets into listening, authentic. And so in the leadership, really caring about everyone who's involved and saying, what do you want? What do you need? And then we make a collective decision for moving forward. Because if we have the leadership where the leader's needs and wants are the only thing that are prioritized, it just is not sustainable. It is not. You don't get the effort, you don't get the buy-in, you don't get the passion. Versus as a team, when you listen again, and it really solve everything. we can cure everything if we just listen. But it's having that authenticity and saying, like, I really care about what you think, what you want, and whenever you decide and you have autonomy, then we can move forward, then we can build. And so having that as a guiding principle of not just performative caring, not just like saying that you do, but being like, okay, I want to check in with you. What do you need? What do you want in this moment? And we can move forward together. So that's really it's an extension of listening.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that out, especially when it comes to autonomy, giving someone the autonomy to choose and being in agreement with this is your autonomy. I respect that. That is something worth taking note of. And Onur, I'm coming to you. What is your perspective on this as well? And I see my time is running quite fast, but Onur, briefly tell us what is your thought on this.
Lynn, actually, we heard great answers again, but
Yes.
I just want to start with that. I think people just putting so much pressure on themselves about that because everybody doesn't need to be a leader in this life. Everybody got different roles. So from our childhood time, we are preparing ourselves for something in this life. So finding the main purpose which can make ourselves happy is the most important thing in this life. So sometimes we are always giving some spoiling to people. Oh, you're a leader. If you want to be a leader, yeah, it's a good thing to you, but everybody shouldn't be a leader
Yeah.
because because after all, you cannot, manage and putting the right roles to everyone. I think this is important. But I think the most important in other issues to being a leader for your life, because when we are in other conferences or in other occasions or in university, generally young people coming to us and they are just saying, you are my role model. And I generally answering back to them, no, actually, you are your role model, not me, not anyone, because all of us, one and only, and we've got different stories in this life. So yeah, you can hear some experience from us. You can see some sample, and maybe sometimes we can say good model, but not your role model. Everybody should be their role model, their leader. I think this is the magical things. But after all, the main thing from leadership perspective, I think something is talent, something can be learned in this life. Most important thing, don't be local, be international. Just try to oversee what is happening around you, not just in just one room, one building, in one brand. Just try to understand around you, because life is different. Water is flowing different in this life. So if you want to be a good leader, if you want to make people follow you, hear, listen, understand, foreseen, and just try to be unique in this life. And after all, there are lots of people always trying to follow you if you are being a good guidance to people.
Definitely, Honor, and that was very incredibly put, right? But yeah, I want to be a role model, or you want to be someone's role model, but most importantly, you are your own role model. And just to be brief, I want us, each and every one of you, with just one word. One word. How do leaders prepare future generations for work that is frontier? One word or two if you go so far. Andrea, what's your one word? How do leaders prepare future generations? Oh, 6 minutes. Okay.
It's a hard one to describe in one minute.
Yeah.
Let me
Brief.
try to think. Probably I would say inner knowledge.
Inner knowledge. Wow. Spectacular. Spectacular. Susan, tell us, what's your one word or two?
I'm with Andrea. That internal capacity, that inner knowledge. Yeah.
Inner knowledge. That's my takeaway from you. Sally, one word, two word.
Trust yourself.
Oh, trust yourself. And Dr. Jane, what's your one word or two words?
Hope.
Hope. All right. Anur, what's your one word or two words?
Actually, I think creativity.
Creativity.
Yeah, creativity. Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, I have one extra 1 minute and I want to spend it with someone, and this has to be your best shot, and anyone can chime in on this. How can women hold long-term vision while responding to immediate demands? The one who chimes in first goes away with it. Who wants to chime in? Susan, okay. I see you.
I'll chime in, by letting vision lead decisions, not pressure. Because when vision is clear, short-term demands get filtered out instead of absorbing us in and moving us in another direction, right? Which isn't what we're looking for. So women don't lose vision, we get pulled away from it. So the practice is returning daily to the future we're building from. Who would we love to be? What would we love to create? And return to that vision over and over again, that yes, this world, this 3D thing that I'm dealing with right now is loud, but I'm going to keep this vision in my mind and act from there, and be kind from there, be self-trusting from there, and move forward from there.
Yes. So what I'm getting from you is every day, one of our tasks every day is, after being pulled away from the vision, is just bringing ourselves right back every day.
I have a chime.
Please do. Please do.
When we have a vision, and I will credit Dr. Ben Hardy for this one. When we have a vision, make it 10 times bigger than we think it should be. And then when things are 10 times bigger, all the mundane falls away. and you only concentrate on the vision. Everything else that you thought was important, the podcast, the newsletter, is not so important. So that is my final chime. Have a vision, always be looking at it and always making it bigger.
Amazing. One more minute, Dr. Jane, what's your take?
Gathering, and just in this moment, I feel so happy and inspired for like this connection, and I got so many wonderful insights, and so my like vision for moving forward is gathering, and if we keep gathering and we keep listening, it's just we're gonna change the world. So yeah, keep it up.
Thank you, Dr. Jen, and we welcome you back to GatherVerse. Or just slightly 1 minute.
Sure, maybe I just trying to wrapping up my earnings, and I can say for women, for leaders, and for all of us navigating a rapidly changing world, the challenge is the same: to stay curious, stay adaptable, and stay committed to making decisions that are inclusive, ethical, and forward-looking. I think this is everything right now because everything is changing so fast in this world. So be adaptable, listen everything, whatever you can read, just trying to learn and be creative, just trying to create your own way to make this life, make this world beautiful.
All right, on our curiosity for me, Andrea, one more, just one more.
I would say that as women, we have this special connection to the earth, and the not only the our human world, but there are so many other creatures that have this empathy and have this long-term vision of well-being, and keeping that balance in ourselves should also be represented into the world we live in. So I think connecting to that feminine energy can lead to a more sustainable, regenerative, healthy world.
All right, Andrea, thank you so much. And for me, everything that you said is what I could say and more. And I really want to thank you. This is a wrap up. I know we could continue. I enjoyed our time with you. And for our audience, my special request for you is please follow these kind women, see what they're doing, support what they're doing. And if you have a question for them, please reach out to them. And I can confidently say that our first panel, day 4, was well. Over to you, GatherVerse team. Thank you so much.